The confirmed number of new coronavirus cases reported in Los Angeles County over the last 24 hours is 1,093, with 58 additional deaths. Here in Torrance, 11 additional cases were reported, with 1 new death. Welcome to COVID-19 Today. I'm Rhiannon Trutanich. It's Tuesday, the first day of March. California will no longer require masks indoors starting today as the state shifts to an endemic approach to COVID-19. Instead of a mandate, masks are now strongly recommended for both vaccinated and unvaccinated people while in most indoor settings, such as bars, gyms, and shops. And after March 11th, masks will also not be required at California schools and child care centers, though they will continue to be strongly recommended as well. Masks will still be mandated for everyone in high transmission areas, including public transit, emergency shelters, healthcare settings, correctional facilities, homeless shelters, and long-term care facilities. California made the move after ending the indoor masking requirement for just vaccinated people on February 16th. While the state is loosening its mask requirements, local jurisdictions can still continue to require masks indoors. Here in LA County, Public Health Director Dr. Barbara Ferrer says we could align with the state and end mandatory indoor masking by Friday. That means LA County will no longer require people, both vaccinated and unvaccinated, to wear masks at indoor businesses besides the ones where they are mandated by federal and state orders. Dr. Ferrer told the LA County Board of Supervisors today that the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention updates its data every Thursday, and when this week's update is released, LA County will likely fall from the high virus activity category to low, allowing for the change in indoor masking rules. She adds that the county is prepared to issue a new health officer order on Thursday, which would take effect the following day. Yesterday, public health officials already announced that it will follow the state's revised indoor masking measures at schools and child care centers. But they say school districts may continue to require masking at schools and during school activities and are encouraged to consult with teachers, staff, parents, and students as they consider the appropriate safety protection measures for their school communities. Equitable access to COVID-19 therapeutics is becoming more important than ever in LA County as they're becoming more readily available. 5 therapeutic options have been authorized by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for the treatment of COVID-19 in those 12 and older who are at higher risk for the virus. Paxlovid and molnupiravir are a couple of oral therapeutic options, pills that require a prescription and must be taken within 5 days of first COVID-19 symptom. Sotrovimab and remdesivir are monoclonal IV and antiviral infusion options which must be administered within 10 and 7 days of first COVID-19 symptom respectively. And Evusheld is available for people who cannot get a COVID-19 vaccine for medical reasons or who may not respond well to a vaccine due to a weakened immune system. For the week of February 25th, LA County received 3,880 doses of Paxlovid, a 38% increase from the previous week's allocation. The county also received 4,392 doses of molnupiravir, a 110% increase from the past week. And LA County got 336 doses of Evusheld, a 367% increase from the previous week. A total of more than 60,000 doses of these 3 therapeutics have been distributed across LA County since they first became available in December. Residents who would like to access these medicines or have questions about them should contact their medical provider or call the COVID-19 information line at 833-540-0473 between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. A new study from UCLA finds that Black workers in Southern California are struggling to recover from the pandemic. A part of UCLA's labor center called CARES, or Center for the Advancement of Racial Equity at Work, focused on the Black workforce in our region, which is home to 60% of the Black population in the state. Researchers learned that almost 70% of Black workers who lost their jobs or were furloughed during the pandemic have not been called back to work. More than half of the 2,000 Black workers surveyed worked in essential or frontline sectors before the pandemic. The study also found that 71% of Black on-site workers were concerned about COVID-19 exposure on the job. And about 90% of Black women surveyed had an increase in at-home and financial responsibilities during the pandemic, and many employers were inflexible in accommodating their needs. Report author Demetria Murphy says the Black workers they surveyed are facing high levels of stress, with 80% of them rating their stress levels as 3 or more on a scale of 1 to 5. Most Black women rated their stress levels at 4 or 5. Researchers say the inadequate care infrastructure in the workplace and on local, state, and federal levels has created a state of emergency for Black workers. Target is raising its starting wage for some hourly workers to $24. The big box chain announced on Monday that it is increasing its beginning wage for certain positions at its stores, supply chain facilities, and headquarters. The Minneapolis-based retailer set its minimum wage at $15 back in 2020. That will remain in place, but officials say some workers will qualify for higher pay based on the nature of their job and the prevailing competitive wages in their local markets. Target employs more than 350,000 workers and has more than 1,900 U.S. stores. The hike in some starting wages is part of the company's plan to spend an additional $300 million on its workforce. That investment also includes expanding access to health care benefits for hourly workers beginning in April. As COVID-19 cases drop and restrictions loosen, one funeral director worries that people are forgetting the grim reality that COVID-19 is still killing a lot of people. William P. Lewis of Accord Burial Services in Highland, which is located in San Bernardino County, reminds everyone on social media that COVID is absolutely real and still taking lives. He encourages anyone who does not believe him to go to work for him. He's actually hiring right now for an assistant director, driver, and part-time assistant. Lewis says he's speaking from the front line where he sees COVID-related deaths every day. Some families lost both parents or grandparents within a few days. He says COVID-19 does not discriminate, and so many lives were lost in all age ranges. Lewis adds that it takes little effort to protect oneself and urged people to have some consideration for others. His message comes as more than 100 people across the Inland Empire are hospitalized in the ICU. Lewis says some people using his services are unvaccinated, knowing they brought the virus into their home and leading to a loved one's death. Vietnam was the only destination that was added to the CDC's highest travel risk category this week. The agency considers locations in the level 4 very high risk category to have more than 500 cases per 100,000 residents over the past 28 days. Nearly 140 places are now in level 4. There were just about 80 in January. The highest risk category still has more destinations than all other levels combined. Vietnam was previously listed at level 3 and was considered high risk until this week. The CDC advises against traveling to any level 4 destinations. Experts caution that although global case numbers have been declining since the Omicron peak in late January, the pandemic is not over. For example, New Zealand, which had relatively few COVID-19 cases due to its strict pandemic controls, saw a record number of cases over the past week and remains at the high-risk level 3 after moving up from level 2 last week. In its broader guidance, the CDC recommends avoiding all international travel until people are fully vaccinated. The Torrance City Council meets tonight to conduct city business. A proclamation will be read declaring March 7th through the 14th this year as California Arbor Week in the city of Torrance. The city attorney and city manager will recommend that council review the need for extending the local emergency related to COVID-19 that was proclaimed in March 2020 and adopt a resolution to extend it. And City Council members will also consider adopting an ordinance amending the Torrance Municipal Code, establishing mandatory organic waste disposal reduction requirements as mandated under state law. While the council chambers will be closed to the public in the interest of maintaining appropriate social distancing and helping to reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19, the public can participate before the meeting tonight by emailing council meeting public comment at torranceca.gov or by calling in during the meeting. You can watch the meeting live on our website, YouTube, Facebook, and of course right here on City Cable beginning at 6:30 p.m. Today is not just the first day of March, it's Mardi Gras, also known as Fat Tuesday. And in New Orleans, the vibrant parades returned after a hiatus last year due to the pandemic. Officials have been preparing for months to make sure celebrations could resume this year. Last August, Mayor LaToya Cantrell introduced a vaccine or negative test mandate to enter all bars and restaurants. And as of February 1st, all public school students were required to be vaccinated as well. Mardi Gras is a popular cultural phenomenon that dates back thousands of years and is celebrated around the world. It's also referred to as a Christian feasting period before Lent begins on Ash Wednesday. If you need an excuse to feast on some festive cookies or a Mardi Gras-themed king cake, Torrance Bakery has some options for you to try. The king cake has a baby hiding inside, and whoever ends up with the piece of cake with the baby gets to be king for the day with a slice of good luck to go with it. Well, before we go, at the end of each program, we'd like to share feel-good stories from our community. Pictures, images, and videos that remind us of how resilient our community is and how Torrance truly cares. It's National Adoption Week at all PetSmart stores, including the two right here in Torrance. The company wants pet lovers to meet a new best friend this week at a PetSmart Charities Adoption Center. The themed week goes through March 6th. PetSmart officials say they've saved nearly 10 million pets through adoption so far. A pet is adopted from a PetSmart store every 38 seconds. What a sweet way to meet a new friend and help him or her to feel safe in a forever home. Now, if you have a great story, an upcoming event, a photo or video you'd like to share, email us at covid19today@torranceca.gov. We'd love to hear from you. Well, that's our update for COVID-19 today. We'll see you back here tomorrow as Christine Lee brings you the latest. Be safe, stay healthy, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.